Hello and welcome to another episode of the Move Forward Anyway podcast, featuring dream accelerating inspiration. As always, you can learn more about my Dream Accelerator coaching process at jeffmeyer.org. You can click on the Move Forward Anyway tab and watch all of these episodes in video form, or you can download wherever you like to get your podcasts from. I'm your host, author, entrepreneur, and coach, Jeff Meyer. Well, greetings, fellow dreamers. It is so great to be with you for another episode of Move Forward Anyway. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I have a really special guest today that I'm really excited to talk about and talk with today. Craig Mellendorf from SFC Estate Coaching. And Craig, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
It's a pleasure to be on
tell
it.
the audience a little bit about yourself and SFC Estate Coaching.
The short version is I was a teacher for 27 years, got let go from teaching due to budget cuts. Life changed dramatically, came across this concept and started this business in 2015. And we are growing I think we're in 7 different states right now.
That's amazing. So you've only been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah. So this is the 6th.
Yeah.
27
years of teaching, both in the high school level, college level.
And elementary too. I started
elementary school.
Yeah, 6 years elementary, 4 years college, and then the rest in high school. I taught 18 different subjects in 18 years at the high school.
You're like the utility.
I was juggling with one hand.
You're like the big utility knife, right?
Yeah, that's what it was like. Yeah,
you can just do anything.
Something. Let's see if Mellendorf wants to do it. Yeah, he'll challenge. It's a challenge for him. He'll try it. It's kind of like life cereal. Mikey, get Mikey to try it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a little bit of backstory for those of you watching. Craig was one of my basketball coaches at Concordia University back in the day, my last year of undergrad work, and he made me run sprints. So,
I think I made you do a few other positive things besides just run sprints, but you did.
You taught me about life. You taught me about determination. Really move forward anyway, that whole thing. I mean, there were times where
it's all about persistence.
You didn't want to practice. You just came off a really bad loss. Yeah, I really appreciate our journey together, and it's been fun to watch what's happened the last 5 years for you. Talk to me a little bit about and share with us a little bit about the genesis of SFC Estate Coaching when you decided to pursue this as a full-time gig. What prompted that? I know it came out of some painful moments, but what sparked you to want to get into this work?
The two concepts. One was when I was a teacher and a coach, both. So an educator and a coach. And I apologize. I didn't know I had that still on. And so my thought was anything I do in life, I think is going to have those two components in it. And so the interesting about being a coach is your job is to encourage, but it's also to make people feel uncomfortable. And push people in that push or pull, depending who the person is. Some people you have to push, some people you have to pull, and get them in the direction of that improvement or seeing that improvement or desire to have that improvement. And so after I got let go from teaching, I became a personal trainer for about 8 years. And the same thing, it didn't change. Your job is to make people really uncomfortable. So it's kind of
so they can grow, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so part of it came out of just the fact that that job, which I appreciated at the time, but it's one of those. My daughters were in middle school and high school. I was recently divorced, and as a result of that job, you have to work when other people don't. So I was always, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, being at the gym by 5, training people till like 8. I didn't see the girls for breakfast. And then on the back end, I had to be back at the gym at 3:30, 4 o'clock, train people till 8 and 9 at night, come home, and, they had already ate supper, whatever, frozen food. Unfortunately, I wasn't as handy in the kitchen as I had because of the pandemic, but, it would have been handy back then.
Yeah.
So they would have had a little bit better probably eating habits. But anyway, the thing was that you're kind of into that realm. And so I came across this because I needed to make a change, and studied with somebody that did this business for about 2 years. Our last year, we kind of had a difference of opinion of how to run a business. And so I kind of put some things out there of what I needed if we were going to continue in this partnership, and it didn't work out that way. So I moved forward in 2015. And yeah, it was kind of interesting to step out. You're coming up with a logo, you're coming up with a design, you come up with a name, you come up with all those things. So SFC Estate Coaching, SFC stands for Spouse Family Charity, or if you're single family charity. So it covers everybody. And we help people create estate plans. We help people become attorney ready is our goal. So we take them through the whole process, educate them on all aspects of it. So I'm still educating. Now, to get it done, I'm still coaching. Okay, guys, come on. We've been on this now for 3 months. Let's go. Let's get it finished up. But we like to get everything done in 60 to 90 days. That's the goal. I kind of feel like the skills that I have learned throughout my whole education has just been something that I have forwarded into this business as well.
So talk about what emotions you felt when you realized you were going to go out on your own, and SFC Estate Coaching was going to be your whole deal. You were no longer going to be dependent on other people paying your paycheck. You're going to have to earn your whole way by yourself. What kind of emotions as you began to pursue this? I would call it a dream. And it's a dream that was born out of necessity in some respects, right? But it was faithful to who you are and what you have done and the skill sets that you bring to the table. What kind of emotions did you feel in 2015 when you said, oh boy, here we go? Yeah,
there was a certain level of excitement, and there was also that unknown. So it was both sides of it, which was, I enjoy that part because it's no different than coaching. You go into a game, you can be prepared, but you really don't know what's going to happen. And then you have to, always kind of use that mentality of you sometimes have to throw the game plan out and try something else because this isn't working. And so it's the same thing with running a business, I feel, in some ways, is that you're really looking. So the emotions were, there was a lot of excitement. Once I got the logo, got stuff, started kind of putting things together and then the very first person or organization I met with signed the contract. I mean, it was like, oh, yes. Yeah. And that was like, whew, okay. So that helped out financially, we get things rolling, get some credibility. And then another thing came along, same thing. So I had like 2 or 3 very quick successes, which helped out. And it was all in the Lutheran circles. So as people you kind of had contacts with, knew, they trusted you, that type of thing. So that helped tremendously. Part of it was I still kept personal training because I can do this at different times of the day. So I could do the training, set up my time both ways. So for about 2 years, I was doing both. And then on January 15th of 2018, I broke off from and just went full time doing this. I felt pretty comfortable at that point. I had some good contracts. People were renewing several times. I felt like I had a pretty good product. I kept improving it. So I felt pretty comfortable with making that change and crossover. And then it allowed me more time to actually pursue more at the same time as a result.
So you were the first 2 years of your venture here, you were side hustling.
I was double dipping. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
I talk to a lot of people who start a business, and when I hear people saying, I was talking to one of my former students yesterday who started a business and said, it's 3 years old and she still hasn't taken an income from it. And I thought, wow, I have the service, it's a service business that I could take an income immediately, which was really handy, so
Yeah, that
it,
was.
it, it, it was beneficial from that way. Yeah.
So you work with organizations,
Mhm.
you work with individuals, and you work with family. Where an individual has a family, obviously there's family dynamics that play into planning an estate. Talk to me about the difference between working with a group or a church or school or organization and working with a household.
So how this kind of part of this whole, if you want to say, the mission is to create lasting financial resources for nonprofit organizations by educating their donors on charitable options within their estate plan, basically. Okay, so that's what we do. But what was also kind of interesting was, so when I got let go from teaching, I apologize. I can't talk right now. I don't know why this is going. Oh, I know why. I have somebody on my, don't worry about it. It's one of those things where, you have people on favorites but you pause and then, okay. I'm still learning this technology thing.
Well, see, there's a challenge, right?
Well, especially when you're doing so. I had yesterday, and also my iPad went off. I thought that was turned off. What the heck? So, one of the things that was a passion of mine, became immediately a passion of mine, was the pain that I went through when I got let go from teaching was immense. There were many dark days of laying in bed and talking to God in not all friendly ways. And it was very difficult to kind of deal with. And so what was fascinating about it is, so I taught 18 different subjects. I have to back it up because I think this is all kind of the program. So just to help me out, help you out. So I taught 18 different subjects. 3 years before I got let go, my principal came to me and asked me if I'd take over the business tech ed and let go of the theology, because theology was a core subject that I was teaching. And I said I would do it as long as I'm not the person who gets let go if something happens, budget cut, whatever. And he said, don't worry about it. Won't do that to you, blah, blah, blah. Well, in 2009, when the housing market crashed, we had also just built a new school, and we were $26.5 million in debt. And the new CEO came in. And so the new CEO didn't know any of this stuff. And I knew I was in. And so the first thing he did was let our principal go or early retirement, whatever you want to call it. And then I knew I was in trouble because I was now teaching electives. I was teaching the business tech ed, but I want to bring that up. I learned about business by teaching it.
Wow.
So I had 3 years
interesting
of kind of some concepts to what this whole thing was that, so you kind of think about how God can help prepare you for the next step. But I didn't know that this was coming yet. So I had no clue. Of course, it's kind of like if you want to use a Bible passage, a lamp, the word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. It's just ahead. It's not like you get to see, way up there. You get to see like right here. And so I didn't know what this all meant. And so, but I did do that. And so then I got let go 10 days before school started. And that was the pain. Okay, so what I bring that up for is this. One of the things of starting this business is I have right now 9 contracts with different high schools. And all of them have renewed so far, at least once. So that's what and this is my thing though. And what I tell people, and this is from the gut, is that my motivation is to help organizations create an endowment or foundation so large that they never have to let a called teacher go due to budget cuts. Because I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So when you talk about this genesis of this thing, part of it was coming out of all those things. It was interesting. One of my contracts was with Wisconsin Lutheran High School. And the president of the high school, Dr. Ken Fisher, when I presented all my material to him, he looked at me and said, well, thank God you got let go from teaching. And I went, wow. Nobody had ever said that to me.
Wow.
Or
you wouldn't have been able to bless him or the institution, the school.
So right now, after 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years, we've been very blessed by, and I say the word blessed because it's there's other levels to this thing that I'm just kind of I don't want to say a pawn in it, but you're just kind of like, you get to be a part of it and watch it. So we've worked with over 750 families. Now, this is what I think is really cool. And these are the tentacles of an estate plan, is that I'm working with these families, and I don't even have all of them done. I mean, we're talking about half to 3/4 are done. So there's still people out there. But at this point in time, there's over 167 different organizations that are going to receive gifts through estate plans to the tune of over $75 million.
So the 700 families, it's less than that because they're not all finished.
Right. So I don't have documentation of what they all have done yet.
There's $75 million going to be distributed to
167 different organizations.
167 different organizations, all kinds of different organizations that do all kinds of different things to make our world a better place.
Correct. So you have the main core six, what I call the six, which is animal charities, arts and culture, health, environmental, education, and then religious. And then I have another topic called other.
So you help people distribute their wealth.
I educate people on what are the possibilities to what they can do. So I just want to give them here's what you can do.
Yeah. So
it's between you and God. If you believe in God, it's between you and God, or you and your family, or whatever you want to do. It's your plan. It's not my plan. It's not the attorney's plan. I don't want you going to an attorney and going, see, this is what's great about it. Here's a great line. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Complexity is the enemy of execution. And that's what happens with people with estate plans. That's why 65% of people do not have an estate plan, is because they sit there and they go, oh, I don't even know an attorney. That's the first thing. I don't even know an attorney. So where do I even go? And then they go, I should. So my record for the most years of I should was 29 years. I had a family that confessed that this has been on our should list for 29 years.
And you made it simple enough for them to be able to get it done.
Yeah, we take them all through the process, and we educate around the process too. Yeah. So we're not just saying, we're just trying to collect your data and determine who you want for a executor or a trustee of a will, or your power of attorneys, or your guardian trustee or your kid. All those are critical and important, but we also want to teach around other things. One of the key things I really try to pass on, something my parents did, and that's where I got the idea from, is that what I have found in most couples that I work with is that there's a primary paper person and there's a secondary paper person. Meaning the primary paper person pays the bills, files everything, knows everything is. And the secondary paper person goes, I love you, just keep doing that, please. Unfortunately, if something happens to the primary paper person, the secondary paper person doesn't know anything is. Yeah. And that actually came to light 2 years ago. I had a call from an individual who said, you got to contact this woman today. Her husband, 61 years old, dropped dead of a heart attack playing golf yesterday. And she doesn't even know if she can keep the house. And my thought is, wow, that's so wrong on so many levels. I mean, right. For somebody to go, oh yeah, I want someone to take care of me. I get that part. But at the same time, your partnership in this, you need to know what all this is too, because if something happens. So I encourage people to create a playbook, literally a binder of some kind that, you have all the rule of thumb I say is, if you can't find it in 15 minutes, you got to come up with a better system. So it's not in this filing cord, that. I had a family. So, as you hear all kinds of stories, but I had a family, here's a safety deposit key. Okay, great. So what is that? That's my dad's safety deposit key. What bank is it? We don't know. We can't close out the probate until we know what's in that account, what's in that bank.
We don't know where the bank is.
And Milwaukee is kind of on the large side. So it's not like we're talking about, even Sheboygan, or any small city. We're talking about a major metropolitan area where there could be you can maybe cut it down a little bit, but who knows where he went to. So that's that legwork is time consuming.
I love how you've already touched on this. A dream can be launched through pain. This is your case, right? With being let go. You would have never considered doing this if you hadn't have been let go.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably not. And the other thing is how important it is to take the complex and make it simple. And I'm sure that that is also true with how you have built the business. So, what were some complexities in building your business over the last 5 years that you had to simplify? What are some of the processes that were complex that you had to simplify so that it could be more streamlined and so that you can get things done in 60 to 90 days, an
Sure.
estate
So
plan
yeah,
for a
yep,
family?
absolutely. So it's evolved so much from where it was in
Yeah.
2015 to what it is today. I mean, it's not even close what the differences are.
Yeah.
So back then, well, one of the things was I thought I needed to have an app, something where I can gather all the information in a confined place so that I could use that information to create whatever data sheets you want to create. And so uh, I started investigating how much it costs to have someone create an app for you.
Yeah.
And then you go, really? It's like, so I started out at $75,000 for an app. Now I don't have anything. I have no reserve, nothing to start this business. I mean, I have a little bit, but I mean, I'm just starting a business. And
Yeah.
so there's not like I have a sugar daddy someplace where I can, grab some funds and who's invested in me and something like that. I don't have anything. So that was shocking. And then you go into investigative mode is what I call it. You got to go find something that can work for you. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I keep coming back to is, did you see the movie Martian with
Yeah.
okay, the very end of the movie, when he's sitting in the classroom and he says, what life really is you solve this problem and then you go, and then you know what? Then you're going to have another problem. Now you go solve that problem, because that's what life is. It's really more about problems. It's about how many you can solve. It's not about that you get rid of problems, because there's always going to be problems. Don't worry about that. There's not going to be a problem. There's always going to be a problem. You just have to figure out how you can create something around it or minimize it or reduce it or eliminate it. And then there's going to be another one that comes, and maybe as a result of you doing that. So anyway, it forced me to really look, and I came across a business that was just starting, and they were doing apps. And so you create your own app. And so, it's one of those things that, it's always a little bit of lag time to learn how to do all this stuff, because you have to learn it yourself. It's your own business. So you're
You're learning everything, right?
Oh yeah. So my app is on its 72nd edition. 72 times I've made improvements to that thing over the course of 6 years. And there's some of them were small and some of them are major, but some of them, it's to the point now, I really like the app. I think it's a very easy tool to use. We're using, we have other estate coaches that are using it. And it seems to be something that's very positive. People like the sheets. The attorneys really like the sheets too at the same time. So that's what's really pretty cool about it. So that was the first thing, was getting the app. And then I noticed when I was sitting down at meetings, in my initial meeting with people, now this is when so I get the contract with the organization, and then we set up times to meet at the organization with their families, and there's a sign-up sheet. So that's evolved in the sense of, first it was just being there at certain days, and they would set up people for me, to the point that I then found a VisiBook calendar that I could do this online, and I would give every organization their own, so it was free, and then give them certain days and dates on it. Then I'm now balancing 6, 7, 8 calendars and trying to figure out who's, okay, I gave them these 2 days and all that. Then I went to a CRM, which now does all of that, which makes life tremendously easier all of a sudden. That's really positive. So it's always been something where you kind of find, so anyway, so when I first met with people, I noticed that they were like writing stuff down on regular, paper, and I would give them some things that they'd have to do or whatever. I didn't give them the data sheets or anything like that. I just tell them what they needed to get me back. And then they'd write me down, what do we need again? And I would be like spending all my time answering emails of, what do you need again? What, really, seriously? We just had this conversation like 3 days ago. Did you write nothing down? And then, I can't find it. So then I thought, okay, I'll get folders. So I did. I just, sorry. I slipped. I did this. So I got folders like this, so this became the welcome packet. So I thought, okay, we will give you this so you can put everything in. And so hopefully it's on the corner of your table. You see it. It's something you can visually see. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it became a whole welcome packet where I now start off things with in the beginning of it, et cetera. So we explain different aspects of, like I said, the whole thing of that playbook, what causes fights in inheritance. We want to talk about those things. We want to, let's just real quick. So what I encourage people is to get a sheet of paper and just write down if they have specific items to give to specific family members, that they actually write that down. So if it's their son Bill and it is a baseball card collection, great, write that down. And then write down, here's the key thing though, is write down, why is he getting that? It's the why that people don't know, and that's where they get frustrated, and that's where they get upset with other people. So in other words, the only thing we really see that causes fights in inheritance is when two people are expecting the same thing and one gets it and one doesn't. And the person who doesn't get it doesn't know why they didn't get it, and they don't know why the person who got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to make up really bad reasons why they got it. And
yeah, they'll come up with something, right?
Oh yeah, and they're brothers and brothers, sisters and sisters, yep. Brothers and sisters, and then they start fighting over things. So I had a guy with a gun collection up north, said he hasn't talked to his brother in 12 years because dad gave him the gun collection and never told anyone, and blah, it was just blew up into something it didn't have to be. And literally they have not talked in 12 years. So you are solving with your work, you're solving so many problems for people. Dreams are largely launched to solve. Somebody sees a hole, somebody sees something that's not working right, and you build something, create something that solves that problem. And it's not just that the problem is that people don't have an estate, although that's a huge one, right? But there are other problems that you're trying to solve. They don't have an estate plan.
They don't have an estate plan.
Right.
You're also trying to solve a problem that people don't know, that they have resources that they are going to be giving at the end of their life. They
Sure.
don't know what they can do. You educate them on that. You also solve the problem of family dynamics and relationships after the death of someone that you just described. What are some other problems that your work solves for people?
Well, first, just terminology, so that they become educated on just the whole process. I want them to know what they have.
Yeah.
Right. So I want them to know what they have and why they have it. I had a financial planner who was actually going to hire me. It didn't work out, but he was going to hire me to actually do like a one-page summary of people's trust that people he works with, because they don't know what's in it. And I think that's wrong on so many levels. This is your trust, or this is your will. You should be able to read it and know what it is. Yeah. I'm not saying some of it's not complicated, but it's possible to, I've always prescribed anyways, you can tell because I taught 18 different subjects. If someone else can learn it, I can learn it. That's it's always been kind of my mentality. Is if someone else can do it, I figure I can, get, especially if there's a YouTube video on it, I can figure it out. Right. Anyway, so that's one of the big things, is just getting a lot of people don't know power of attorney is only for people who are alive but incapacitated. So they can't make decisions on their own. So once a person dies, power of attorneys have no more power. I just dealt with a woman in June whose mother passed away in April due to COVID. And she was her power of attorney. So she was paying all the bills, doing all that stuff that she needed to do for her mom. And after she passed away, she went in to close out the account for her bank account. And the woman said, well, why are you closing out? She said, well, my mom passed away. She said, sorry, you can't take the money. She says, well, I'm power of attorney. Yeah, but power of attorney is only while they're alive. Once they die, unless you're the executor or trustee of the will or trust, you have no more power. So it's those type of things that you want to educate them. The difference of guardians and trustees, make sure they understand that the guardianship is for where they're actually going to live. The trustee handles the custodial account for the children. How to spread out payments to the kids over a period of time. What's the difference of lump sum distribution versus spreading some payments out? And how do you benefit your children, baby? I have a contract with a school out in Nevada, Las Vegas. And, some people have some pretty good coin out there, and, they're looking at like $9 million estates. And so one person comes in and I said, well, so what do you want to do? He goes, I just want to give it all to my daughter. I said, really? I'm always kind of like, really? All 9 million to your daughter? You don't have any like things of, and there's nobody out there in the world that might need some help. There's only my daughter. That's it. It's like, that just drives me somewhat nuts. Anyway, so it just, you ask questions, which I get a kick out of, because I'm in that position where I'm just educated. People take if you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. It's not, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all. I'm just educating on your possibilities. If you want to do it, do it. So anyway, it came out that basically the way we had set it up was, and we sometimes set things up before I actually know the total finance picture, was that she would receive $2 million at age 22 if he died before that time. $2 million at age 26 and $5 million at age 30. So $9 million in basically 9 years.
Not all at once.
Right. But my question was, do you think she's going to work ever? Do you think she's going to do anything productive for society? And he goes, well, I don't know. I go, okay, let me ask you a couple questions. He goes, okay, go ahead. I said, so first off, did you ever receive an inheritance? And he goes, no, I never did. I said, well, how you doing? He goes, almost a little smug. Oh, I guess pretty good. I'm worth $9 million. I said, oh. So if you got $2 million when you were 22, would you be in the position you are today? You know what he said? And they always say the same thing?
No way.
No. And then here's the question that burns people. So why would you want to do that to your child?
Wow. And now they realize that maybe what they thought was going to be helpful is not actually helpful.
No, the idea of an inheritance is a safety net, not a hammock.
Yeah. So when
you talk about all the things we educate on, those are all things that we talk about. It depends on the family. Some families don't have much. It's easy. It's, a lot of people's estate is in 3 things. That's it. 3 things. It's in your equity in your home. It's in your life insurance policy, and it's in whatever retirement plan that you have. That's most people. Few people have some stocks and mutual funds outside of their retirement, and some people own a business. That's really the 5 things that you're doing.
What happens if you die and you don't have an estate plan? Where does your money go?
Well, a judge will make that determination then, because it's going to have to go through probate court then at that point.
Yeah.
And
so then, someone outside of your family that has no really understanding of who you are will make a decision about what happens.
Well, somewhat. He'll nominate a executor of that should have been done ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
But there'll be, he'll decide who the guardians are. The executor doesn't get to anymore. If there's kids, there's no plan for special needs, and there's no plan for any charity that happens at that point either.
Yeah. Wow. So your dream of starting and going out on your own in 2015 is, I use this phrase a lot: fear will come, fear will stay, move forward anyway. Your dream must live. So when that educator at Wisconsin Lutheran said, I'm so glad you got fired or got let go. You got let go. You didn't get fired.
I'm trying not to use the word fired.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. You got let go. I'm so glad that it's really a benefit to so many people that you got let go. Your dream matters. I mean, your dream is helping a lot of people and helping a lot of organizations that would otherwise not have the income coming in from their donors, from their estate plans that you have put into motion. So I'm assuming that at some level, those mornings when you get up and go, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Why am I doing this? It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure you've had days like that. Like, is this going to work? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's got to be those people that you're helping that helps you move forward anyway. What keeps you moving forward anyway when you're frustrated?
I'm not frustrated a lot. That's part of it. More because it's just, I feel very blessed and thankful for what I do have and what's happening with it. And the people that's working with, the doors that are opening up, So I'm very appreciative of, I mean, I felt like I worked a lot harder as a personal trainer than I'm doing now. I mean, even though I'm creating more things, but I mean, just when you think about having to get up early, doing all the, the time, I sleep in till 7:30, 8 o'clock. I don't get up at 6 in the morning. When after I didn't have to do that anymore, I made up my mind I wasn't going to anymore. Now I might work till 9, 10 at night if I have to, or do something that way, but my schedule is completely mine. And so I can create what I want to create. If I want to take 2 days off to go do something with my wife, I can go take 2 days off and go do something with my wife. So, or the kids, or if the kids need, my daughter she's in Beirut, Lebanon. I was going to go with her. If it wasn't for the whole thing of being with COVID and being quarantined, I would have taken her over she's working on her master's degree in the American School in Beirut. I would have went with her, and I have the freedom to do that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't have done that as a teacher. So when you think about work, I don't consider what I do. I know that old line is that, do something you love and then it's not work.
Yeah.
I really enjoy what I do. I don't like all the paperwork. I don't know anybody that loves that part of it. And if I can find somebody eventually down the road that can take that part off me, I would be really happy with that. And that might happen. But I'm just saying, the tedious part is like inputting data and stuff like that, if I can, that I might just need to find somebody to do that part so I can be creative and do other things. And so right now we're working on a series of videos that we're given. So like how to do a playbook. It's got a green screen, have my logo here, and we're going to set up, just little short videos on helping families. Now, what am I supposed to do with that playbook again? Here, click on this. It's a short little tutorial on how to do it. Or specific gifts for specific family members. So it's not so much that I can't think of too many times. It's more, sometimes you feel overwhelmed. That I would say happens more.
Yeah.
Is that all of a sudden, 7 people send you an email. I got my stuff done. Can we get, keep moving? Like, you took 2 months to get it to me. Now you're expecting me to turn it around in 24 hours, So I would guess there's more feelings occasionally of overwhelm and trying to pace this out than there is the idea of frustration. I guess that could be a frustration. I don't know if that's really a frustration. That's more just, the timing of it. You just got to be, some days you just have to work. No different than when I coached. Yeah, my gosh, we used to teach all day, get into a bus, drive for 45 minutes. Then you had to sit through the freshman game, the JV game, and then your game. And then you drive home. It's freezing outside. You have to, break into your car again. And then you have to drive home. And then tomorrow you do it all, maybe you don't have a game, but you have practice. All over again. But you have practice, so no, I'm on Zoom calls. I'm in shorts right now. You don't see that part, but I'm being full disclosure. I'm in shorts. That's why when I deal with people, I have a polo on. It's so.
So there's a benefit to pursuing a dream, of building your own business, being independent. There are overwhelming moments and difficult things you got to learn. But the blessings of it far outweigh the challenges of it, is what I'm hearing.
Well, I would say the biggest, so I feel really confident when I sit down with an organization now that you try to set it up so that they would look at this and go, oh, duh, we need to do this, and so that's part of it's no different than when I used to coach you or coached anyone. You're trying to get it so that when people see the system that you're doing, they go, oh, that makes sense. That's going to work. And we need to buy into that and do that. So, you do it in enough times and here's if anybody's out there is listening, I would just say, listen for the excuses that people are making of why they don't want to work with you. And then figure out how to make that a positive. And in your next presentation, make sure that that's addressed before they can address it. Make it into why it's so important that they need to be doing this to cover that.
And you've learned those excuses, you've learned those answers, you've adapted it, your presentations and your process by moving forward.
Sure.
You didn't you didn't in 2015 sit down at some workshop and solve all the problems.
No.
No, you just like the Martian movie, you figured out that problem to solve, and then you move forward and you found another problem to solve, and you move forward and you found another problem to solve, and you kept doing that. I think of the Chinese proverb, the way is made by walking in it.
Yeah.
You have made the way by walking in it, not by sitting and thinking about it. You took insight and you put it into action repeatedly over and over again. And you're going to continue doing that.
Well, I'll give it to you real simple. Everyone has learned this lesson at some point in their life when they were young. They forgot it. Let me explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if there's nothing physically wrong with you, everyone walks. But when you first learned to walk, it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just popped up and started running around the house. You ran into stuff, you fell down, you made it 3 steps, fell over, fell on your butt, fell on your face, but you know what? After you cried maybe a few minutes, you got back up and you did it again.
Mm-hmm.
And you kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And no one coddled you. They're like, say, oh no, just lay there. Because you're walking.
Right. You need to walk.
Right. Get back up. So I was going to write a book one time. I haven't done it yet, but I got the premise of it is just called Get Back Up. Just get back up.
Just get back up.
And sometimes in the midst of all that getting back up, you're gonna hit with stuff, and you're gonna get. There's a great rock. I love the Rocky movies. I know that sounds like stupid, but there's a great one in there in Rocky 5, I believe it is, where he's talking to his son about said no one's going to hit you as hard as life is. But it's when you get the hit, you get back up. When you get the hit, get back up. That's what winning's about, is when you get back up. Not that it didn't work out that time, so I quit. Really? What did you learn from why you didn't work so that you can improve it to get it where you can to get it to work? And, so this whole premise of what I was talking about is just using the idea of watch a 2-year-old, watch a 1.5-year-old trying to move around. You learned that when you were a kid. You got that. You have all the skills you need to do to get back up because you are walking. And you still stumble and fall sometimes. You still get up and you fall, and run into things. You still do that. And yet you still get up and walk.
Yeah.
Why do you keep doing that if you keep falling? Why would you do that to yourself? And then the other thing is is using that phrase is get back up, is sometimes you need to get back up. Meaning a police officer goes upon a scene and he sees something happening, he needs backup. So sometimes when you're you're struggling, okay, make sure you have a good couple close friends that you can call on so you can get back up to get back up.
That's right. Invested partners that really believe in you, that will hold you accountable, will keep you moving.
Right.
That's awesome. Hey, Craig, thank you so much for being a friend, coach in my life. And thank you for this conversation today. We hope it really blesses some people to get back up, keep moving forward with their dream and what they want to do to make the world a better place.
Just to throw out, I'm 61 years old. So I started this when I was 55.
See, that's another huge lesson. Sometimes I think, I'm too old to be doing this or trying this new thing. I'm 54, and you started this at 55. Your life isn't over at 55.
Here's the number one thing I would tell.
In some respects, your life began at 55, putting all the experiences into practice for what you're supposed to be doing right now. And that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Here's one thing that it just drives me nuts. I hate hearing this. Well, it sucks getting old. Really? It's not my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't really have that many more aches and pains than I did when I was in 20. I was in a car accident, so I have a bad back. Yeah. Do I wake up sometimes with a bad back? It's not because I'm now 61 that I have the bad back. It was happening when I was 23.
Yeah.
So, yes, do I not have that quick first step anymore when I play basketball? Okay, fine. I can live with that. But I'm just saying, I don't think that age is the criteria of whether you should do something or not.
So there may be somebody listening right now that their work life is done, or it's reached a conclusion, and they're starting to think about retirement, but they have an idea, they have a dream, and maybe the second voice in their head is telling them, it's too old to start that. What you're saying is no.
The only way you're not going to achieve it is for whatever excuse in your head that you're making up why you can't do it. Because I could name 5 people that did it regardless.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's a really good word. Hi, hey, how can people get a hold of you? I'm sure there's people listening. They're like, I got to get my estate plan done. Well, I would encourage you to go talk to Craig, because my wife and I did, and our congregation has hired Craig to help a whole bunch of people be able to have an estate plan. And he really listens, and he's not selling you a product. He's not trying to, funnel your money here or there. He really wants to help you decide what you want to do. And what Amy and I discovered is there's a lot more we can do than we thought we could do. So if you want to reach Craig, how can they get a hold of you?
Probably email is the easiest way to do it. And that's C Mellendorf. That's, you can see, can you see Craig Mellendorf on my screen?
Yep.
So C Mellendorf.
Mellendorf.
Correct. At SFC, so spouse family charity or single family charity, estate coaching, one word, all one word, .com. That's awesome. Probably the easiest way to get hold of me.
And that's also his website is SFC Estate Coaching.com.
Those numbers that I mentioned, I have to update. Those are the new ones. I just haven't sent to the person who does the webpage to get those updated, but those are the numbers.
Yeah. Well, great. I would encourage you to check out Craig and to let him help you get your estate plan in order. And don't wait.
Or if you know an organization,
the younger you start, the better, because you don't know what tomorrow's bringing.
Right. Or if you know an organization that could benefit from this, a church, a school, health organization, a whatever, it doesn't make any difference. We can work with any nonprofit.
Absolutely. Maybe you're in the financial planning world as well, and you want to include Craig as a partner in your work of financial planning. Absolutely. Reach out to him. He's well worth the time investment. It's been a blessing to our family. And I'm thankful too, that in 2015, you decided to pursue this, brother. So congratulations. And here's to your ongoing success and effectiveness, because I know your dream must live. It's going to help a lot of people.
Jeff, I appreciate the time. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate us working together. I appreciate your tutelage on certain aspects of the business, and I appreciate that tremendously. So I would encourage people to also to get a hold of Jeff and help him. He didn't write the book for no reason. The book is there to help people with their dreams. Yeah. So the book's a great tool, but honestly, working with Jeff is a much better tool.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Thanks for the time, brother. And
you bet.
You have a great day.
You too.
Hey, fellow dreamer. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Head over to my website, jeffmeyer.org, for all the show notes and links. And remember, fear will come, fear will stay. Move forward anyway.